What's up, Tailgaters? You're in the booth with Tailgate Nate today. Welcome to my channel and a welcome to a little video where, yes, I'm going to be talking some more college football here, but I'm not going to be talking about any sort of the games that are going to be happening. We got some absolutely massive news about the Pac-12 conference, and fans of the Pac-12 and more so fans of Oregon State and Washington State, get ready. May we see the Pac-12 coming back? They have officially added 4 new teams in what maybe some fan bases could argue has been long overdue. We're going to dive on into everything here in this video. I'm on a little bit of a time crunch, so I'm going to sort of go fast, but I basically just want you guys to know if you want to support me in literally any way possible, please continue to interact with the channel anyway on YouTube. If you're as big of a college football nerd as I am, you got to subscribe, you got to ring the bell. Thank you so much for watching this video, and continue to like, comment, and share. If you want to support me on literally anything else, see some of the other field work I do, and support me in a way outside of YouTube, you can go follow me on Twitter at TailgateNate29, calling a high school football game tonight, calling a D2 college football game tomorrow. I would really appreciate it if you tuned in as well as checked out some of my other work. So I really appreciate that from everybody. And now, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about the Pac-12 conference, because how about this, huh? Kind of when a lot of people, including myself, figure that, okay, Oregon State and Washington State are going to have to find a home here at some point. It looks like they're dead in the water for the most part. I know a lot of Pac-12 fans have given me pushback on that and thought differently. Well, look no further, fans of the Pac-12, and specifically fans of Oregon State and Washington State. You guys got some new teams to your conference in what maybe to some of these teams has been a long overdue move. The Pac-12 is going to be adding Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State. Sorry, I just wanted to get my camera a little bit better timed up. I'm still trying to work out kinks with that. But yeah, Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, Fresno State. Welcome to the Pac-12. Now, the job is not finished yet, because in order for the Pac-12 to be a fully functional and NCAA regulated conference, they have to have at least 8 teams. So that just bodes the question: who comes next? And that's kind of what I want to talk about here in this video, because there are a lot of teams that the Pac-12 could go add. And I think the most obvious one to try to add there next would probably be UNLV. However, the Mountain West, if you remember just with this whole experiment, they kind of reluctantly agreed to let Oregon State and Washington State schedule teams, and they were kind of bailing them out from their Pac-12 thing and getting them games scheduled and things of that nature. But the Mountain West has exclusively also said, we don't really want to add Oregon State or Washington State, and we also don't really want to get rid of any of our teams. And even if you trickle down to the FCS level, a lot of the commissioners of the FCS conferences, like the Big Sky, and I can't remember the conference that North Dakota State, South Dakota State are in, but the head officials of both of those conferences have said, Montana, Montana State, they're not going anywhere. South Dakota State, North Dakota State, they're not going anywhere. South Dakota, North Dakota, no, we don't want to lose them either. Idaho, they voluntarily dropped out of the FBS ranks. You can forget them coming back. But now that, the Mountain West might be trying to add some teams, the Pac-12 might be trying to add some teams, where do they go from here? Well, we'll talk about the FCS schools in just a minute and sort of my thoughts and opinions on that. But I want to give you my thoughts and opinions on who the Pac-12 might be going after next, because I think UNLV and Wyoming, at least to me, might not be the 2 most likely candidates. UNLV definitely is, but a team like Wyoming, I think, fits in very well with the Pac-12, not only geographically, and if the Pac-12 is going to continue to, for lack of better terminology, and I'm going to use air quotes here, poach the Mountain West Conference, then yeah, why not go get a team like UNLV? Why not go get a team like Wyoming? Maybe if you can throw Air Force or Utah State or some of the other teams in there, I mean, hey, go ahead and do it. But one thing I have seen circulating, though, is Cal and Stanford rejoining the Pac-12 conference. And as of right now, I'm going to put that argument to bed pretty much entirely. Yes, I know. The main argument in things is, well, if they start to struggle, maybe they go back. Good luck getting out of that ACC contract. That ACC contract is a complete and utter mess. Good luck trying to buy your way out of that. Look at what Clemson, Florida State, maybe even Miami and North Carolina, especially Florida State, are trying to do right now, and it's basically going nowhere. It is not having a lot of success at all. It's just a lot of money for a lot of years. I think the ACC has that TV contract and media rights contract and everything sort of scheduled out until I think 2035 to 2037, and it's just crazy. The ACC got absolutely swindled, and that's a conversation that definitely can be had another day. But when you take a look at the Pac-12, they only need to add two more teams. Maybe, again, UNLV Wyoming is there. Utah State Air Force. If you want to look at other teams within the Mountain West Conference, what about Hawaii? I mean, not out of the realm of possibility for Hawaii to be added into there. Or, I mean, look, from the way that both of these organizations are talking, the Pac-12 wanted to keep itself alive. Well, that's exactly what it's done. And you might be saying, well, if the Mountain West didn't want these teams to leave, then why did they leave? It's all about this, man. And it's such a sad thing to say, but it really is all about this. It's about the big M word. It's about the money. And for as successful as the Mountain West has been, especially on the basketball side of things, we know how good the Mountain West is at basketball. It brought, what, 6 or 7 teams into the NCAA tournament. It was a record year for the Mountain West, and in which mid-major basketball is just continuing to grow. In the football side of things, you have one of the winningest programs in college football history in Boise State right there. Air Force, ever since Troy Calhoun has been there, has been solid. And you look at some of the other teams that have moved, Colorado State, San Diego State, Fresno State. For most times, they've been the better teams within the Mountain West Conference. But again, you're like, why did they leave them? Again, it's all about this. For as good as the Mountain West has done, the Pac-12 has more money. It has more opportunity to get your name out there. And I'm not even going to dive on into the conversation yet of whether or not you could consider the Pac-12 a Power 5 conference, remaking the sort of Power 5, or if you end up more considering them a Group of 5 conference, then it becomes the Group of 6. I know everybody is going to have a different opinion about that, and fans of teams within the Pac-12 are going to say, yeah, we are a Power 5 conference. Like, we believe that we deserve to have that Power 5 sort of mark or saying next to this conference and next to my favorite team's name, next to our team's name. And maybe fans outside of that are looking at that and saying, well, you basically just added teams from a mid-major conference and looking at it from a basketball terminology. So doesn't that in turn make you a mid-major conference too? Like, there's so many different ways to go ahead and look at that. Again, I am not necessarily sharing my opinion one way or the other, because I think it's a very interesting conversation to have. And maybe if you would like me to, we can dive on in more to that once we know who else is joining the Pac-12. But I also want to talk about the FCS teams for a minute, because even though, again, you've seen what all these commissioners are saying, right? We were sitting here saying the exact same thing about Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA, and how they were telling the Pac-12, oh, we're not going anywhere. We're not going to move. Look at where they are now, man. They're in the Big Ten Conference, and I've been done predicting conference realignment for a long time, because it's just too unpredictable. It's so chaotic, and it's just fun to sit back and watch everything unfold. Yes, it's fun to go through and predict things. Not necessarily something that I am going to be doing, but I will tell you right now, if the Pac-12 is going to want to add more teams, if you're looking towards the Mountain West, you could go look to add UNLV, Wyoming, Utah State, Air Force, maybe even a team like New Mexico, Nevada, Hawaii, or San Jose State. Those are the teams that are left in the Mountain West Conference, by the way. They could continue to drag teams from there. I mean, if they really, really wanted to, maybe you go get some of those FCS level teams. Maybe you bring Idaho back to the FBS level. They've been one of the better you bring Idaho back to the FBS level. I think I said FCS earlier. You bring Idaho back to the FBS level. They've been one of the better teams in FCS for the past couple of years now. Why not bring them back up? Montana and Montana State. Those are two teams that have been in the FCS national championship conversation over the past couple of seasons, and we know how historic programs like North Dakota State are, like South Dakota State are, even teams like North Dakota and South Dakota without the state emblem, just USD or UND, the University of North Dakota and the University of South Dakota. Those would be great teams from the FCS level to make a jump up. And there are absolutely a ton others. I mean, you're going to see 2 more FCS teams make the jump up to the FBS level, as Missouri State and Delaware are going to be joining Conference USA next year. And that segues in perfectly, because I do also want to talk about Conference USA. To a lot of people out there, including myself, and this is not bashing anyone within Conference USA, it just is the weakest conference in the country. And I don't think that's arguable. I think it just is. well, maybe it's going to be losing a couple of its members, because if the Pac-12 continues to go after these Mountain West schools and continue to add pieces from the Mountain West, well, the Mountain West might look over there and say, yeah, we want UTEP, we want New Mexico State, we want this, that, and that, right? Which I think UTEP in New Mexico State would be the two most likely options there. Or maybe you see a conference like Conference USA even fold, which I don't think is going to happen. I don't think is going to happen at all. Maybe you could see some teams from the American come over. Again, this is just what makes conference realignment, again, so annoying and frustrating to some, but to me, just chaotic and fun, right? I love conference realignment, and I know more traditionalist people are going to sit there and argue with me and how it's a bad thing and it's ruining the sport. College football's not being ruined, okay? You look at the on-field product, it's some of the best football that we have ever seen. It's such a fun game still to watch, and it's going to be such a chaotic season now with the 12-team playoff. Guys, the product is just fine, and conference realignment is not ruining it. But I mean, just when you take a look here, this is going to be a very interesting story to follow, because the Pac-12 still needs two teams to be an official sanctioned conference according to the NCAA. You need 8 teams to do it. The Pac-12 currently sits at 6, as the 4 teams there, Boise State, Colorado State, San Diego State, and Fresno State, are going to be joining Oregon State and Washington State, who were kind of left in the dust and left behind after the mass exodus of Pac-12 teams ended up going off in their separate ways for joining the Big 12, for joining the Big 10, and then, of course, the 2, Cal and Stanford, joining the ACC. But please let me know who you guys think is going to end up joining either the Mountain West, because, again, if the Pac-12 is going to continue to poach things from the Mountain West, again, I say poach. I'm sure I could be using a better terminology. That's just the term I have in my head right now. But if the Pac-12 continues to take things from the Mountain West, then yeah, the Mountain West is going to have to go elsewhere, and maybe they do look at Conference USA and say, okay, we'll take UTEP, we'll take New Mexico State, and I think those would be fine addition to those, or I should say, that'd be a fine addition to that conference, and then you get down the rabbit hole of, conferences needing to add teams, and Conference USA is still adding more teams so they could afford to lose a couple teams. Yeah, whatever. But again, as I said, I'm on a little bit of a time crunch. I got to go prepare for some field work that I'm doing today. I got to go prepare to call a football game. Loaded college football slate this week. A lot of games between unranked teams that are going to fly under your radar. Hey, the Backyard Brawl is back. You have Oregon State. You have Washington State to watch this weekend as well. Texas A&M, Florida. That's going to be a fascinating one, as well as just a ton of potential upset games, a couple of which I've already covered here on my channel. Go check out my 4 Week 3 preview prediction videos. But again, guys, the big storyline in this video, the Pac-12 isn't totally revived quite yet. Again, it needs 2 more teams, but it looks like it's trending the way of we have the Pac-12 coming back, and it's going to be a very interesting college football landscape to follow. Hey, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to play hard, but tailgate harder, and I'll see all you guys in the next video. Enjoy your college football Saturday. Goodbye.